You are bleeding out in the room and you are still trying to explain to them why you are bleeding. Think about that. You are standing there, losing your energy, losing your time, losing your very life force. And instead of applying pressure to the wound, instead of stopping the flow, you are using your precious breath to justify your pain to people who are perfectly comfortable watching you drain. You are handing them the narrative of your own destruction, hoping they will hand you back a cure. But here is the brutal, unvarnished truth that will change the trajectory of your entire existence. They do not care, and even if they did, your words cannot stitch the wound. Only your action can. So let me tell you something. The world does not reward the loudest person in the room. The universe does not bend to the will of the one who begs for attention. When you look at the absolute titans of industry, the global icons who have shattered glass ceilings and redefined what is possible, when you look at the journey of someone like Priyanka Chopra, who stepped out of a massive, comfortable empire in Bollywood to conquer Hollywood with zero connections, facing a tidal wave of doubt, racism, and skepticism, what do you see? You do not see someone who stopped to explain herself to the critics. You do not see someone who chased the validation of the masses. You see a masterclass in focusing on yourself. You see the absolute unbreakable discipline of strategic silence, never chase, never beg, never explain. When you master this, your silence becomes your superpower. Let us dissect the anatomy of your current struggle. Let us look at the exact moment you decided to trade your power for a cheap illusion of control. It starts small. It starts with a text message. You send a message to someone, maybe a friend, maybe a romantic interest, maybe a business contact. You wait, the minutes tick by, the screen remains dark, and then the psychological spiral begins. You start typing out a follow-up. You start explaining what you meant. You start clarifying your tone. You start apologizing for a slight that only exists in your own anxious mind. You are chasing. You are begging for a response. You are explaining your existence to someone who has not earned the right to understand it. And what does it cost you? It costs you your dignity. It costs you your emotional equilibrium. You feel that tightness in your chest? That is your power leaking out of you. That is your energy being siphoned away by the desperate need to be perceived correctly. Listen, we have been conditioned to believe that if we just explain ourselves clearly enough, people will understand. If we just show them our vision, if we just lay out our purpose, they will validate us. But here is the thing, over-explaining is not communication. Over-explaining is a trauma response. It is the behavior of someone who has been taught that their voice does not matter unless it is filtered through the approval of others. You are trying to control their perception of you because you do not trust your own perception of yourself. Think about the professional graveyard of over-explainers. How many brilliant ideas have died in the pitch room because the creator kept talking after they made their point? They made the pitch, they delivered the value, and then the silence made them uncomfortable. So they kept talking. They started justifying. They started defending. They started explaining why the idea was good, which immediately signaled to the room that the idea was weak. The moment you explain, you diminish. The moment you defend, you lose. You are telling the world, please validate me, instead of showing the world, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. Not only that, but this behavior bleeds into your personal life. It destroys your relationships. When you constantly chase someone's attention, when you beg them to see your worth, you become a burden, you become heavy. People are attracted to lightness. They are attracted to momentum. They are attracted to people who are so deeply focused on their own goal, so deeply committed to their own purpose, that they do not have time to chase. When you chase, you run away from yourself. You abandon your own post. You leave your own vision unattended to go knock on someone else's door, hoping they will invite you in. But here is what most people don't understand about the cost of chasing. It is not just about the rejection you face from the outside. It is about the rejection you inflict upon yourself. Every time you beg for a seat at a table where you are not valued, you are telling your own subconscious mind that you do not deserve to build your own table. Every time you explain your boundaries to someone who is committed to violating them, you are eroding your own self-respect. You are teaching yourself that your word is negotiable. You are teaching yourself that your peace is secondary to their comfort. I'll say it again. The cost of chasing is your identity. You forget who you are because you are so obsessed with who they want you to be. You compromise your commitment. You dilute your discipline. You water down your faith in your own potential. And the tragedy is, the people you are chasing do not even respect you for it. They pity you. And pity is the exact opposite of the respect you are starving for. You have to realize that your time is non-renewable. You are walking toward your grave with every single step you take. Every hour you spend explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you is an hour you steal from your own legacy. It is an hour you steal from your family, from your purpose, from the impossible turned possible that you were put on this earth to achieve. You are trading your finest hour for a moment of temporary illusory comfort. So let me tell you something. The struggle you feel right now, that exhaustion, that burnout, that feeling of running on a treadmill and getting nowhere, that is the cost of chasing. That is the price of explaining. And it is a price you can no longer afford to pay. You must stop the bleeding. You must pull your energy back. You must look in the mirror and make a sacred sacrifice to yourself. I will never again beg for what is mine. I will never again explain my worth to those who cannot see it. I will fall forward, I will get back up, but I will never again chase. Because when you stop chasing, when you stop begging, when you stop explaining, you create a vacuum. And in that vacuum, your silence becomes your superpower. Now, we have established the cost. Now we must build the architecture of your liberation. Strategic silence is not about being mute. It is not about suppressing your voice or hiding in the shadows out of fear. Strategic silence is the ultimate expression of control. It is the calibration of your energy. It is the psychological power of withholding validation from a world that has not earned it. It is the deliberate choice to let your results speak so loudly that your words become entirely unnecessary. To master this, you must internalize 3 unbreakable rules. These are not suggestions. These are the laws of physics for your new identity. Rule number 1, the rule of the vacuum. You must learn to withhold validation. Most people operate on a deficit model of communication. They feel a void of understanding and they rush to fill it with words. They overshare, they overpost, they over-explain. They broadcast their every move, their every thought, their every struggle, desperate for the dopamine hit of a like, a comment, a nod of approval. But here is the thing. When you give away all your energy in the form of explanation, you leave nothing for execution. You must become comfortable with the vacuum. When someone misunderstands you, let them. When someone doubts you, let them. When someone projects their insecurities onto you, let them. Do not rush to correct the record. Do not rush to defend your honor. Your honor does not require a defense attorney. Think about the power of a vacuum in nature. It pulls things in. When you are silent, when you are unbothered, when you are entirely focused on yourself, you create a psychological vacuum. People become intrigued. They become unsettled. They start to wonder what you know that they don't. They start to project their own assumptions onto your silence. By saying nothing, you allow them to fill in the blanks, and they will almost always fill them with their own fears and insecurities. You win without lifting a finger. That is the difference between fighting for respect and commanding it. Rule number 2, the rule of the mirror. You must shift your focus entirely from the audience to the craft. This is where we look at the ultimate masterclass in focusing on yourself. Let me tell you a story about a woman who had everything and then chose to risk it all. She was at the absolute pinnacle of her career. She was the biggest star in a massive industry. She had the adoration of millions. She had the comfort, the wealth, the validation. But she looked in the mirror and realized she was stagnant. She had a vision that was bigger than the borders of her homeland. She wanted to change the world. She wanted to prove that the impossible turned possible was not just a slogan, but a reality. So, she packed her bags and moved to Los Angeles. She had no connections. She had no safety net. And the noise? The noise was deafening. The critics told her she was too old. They told her she didn't fit the mold. They told her she was making a massive mistake. The industry insiders whispered that she would fail. The cultural barriers were massive. The doubt was a physical weight in the air. Now, most people in that situation would do what? They would chase. They would go on every talk show and explain why they were good enough. They would beg the casting directors for a chance. They would post on social media defending their decision. They would try to explain their worth to a system that was actively trying to reject them. But she didn't. She applied the rule of the mirror. She looked away from the audience and stared directly into her own purpose. She focused on herself. She focused on her craft. She woke up every single day and worked harder than anyone else in the room. She took the meetings, she took the risks, she endured the struggle. She didn't explain her accent, she owned it. She didn't explain her background, she weaponized it. She let the silence do the heavy lifting while her work ethic screamed. And what happened? She didn't just break into Hollywood, she conquered it. She became a global icon. She proved that when you focus entirely on yourself, when you refuse to chase the validation of the gatekeepers, the gates eventually break open. She didn't ask for a seat at the table. She built her own table, and then she bought the building. That is the rule of the mirror. You must become so obsessed with your own growth, so deeply committed to your own consistency, that the opinions of the outside world become nothing more than background noise. You do not have time to explain yourself to people who are not building anything. You do not have time to chase the approval of people who are not on your level. You look in the mirror, you identify the goal, and you execute. Rule number 3, the rule of the pivot. Action must always replace explanation. When you face a setback, when you fail forward, when you hit a wall, the instinct is to stop and explain why the wall is there, to explain why it's not your fault, to explain the circumstances. The rule of the pivot demands that you bypass the explanation and go straight to the action. You hit a wall, pivot. You lose a client, pivot. You get rejected, pivot. You face the darkest moment of your career, pivot. Do not write the long email. Do not have the long, agonizing conversation. Do not seek the therapy of explaining your failure to your friends. Take the lesson, internalize it, and immediately execute the next move. Let me be clear, the world does not care about your excuses. The market does not care about your intentions. The universe only responds to your momentum. When you pivot instantly, when you replace explanation with execution, you create an irreversible momentum. You become a force of nature. You become brave. You take risks because you know that even if you fail, you will just pivot again. You do not ring the bell. You do not quit. You just move. And this brings us back to the story of our global icon. When she faced rejection in LA, she didn't explain. She pivoted. She took a role that no one else wanted. She worked relentlessly. She produced her own content. She pivoted again and again until the pivot became a straight line to the top. Remember this, silence is not empty. Silence is loaded. It is loaded with intention. It is loaded with discipline. It is loaded with the quiet, unshakable faith that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to be doing. When you master these 3 rules, the vacuum, the mirror, and the pivot, you stop being a participant in the noise and you become the architect of your own reality. Think about that. You are no longer reacting, you are creating. You are no longer defending, you are advancing. You are no longer chasing, you are attracting. And as you walk this path, as you build this unbreakable discipline, you will find that the need to explain fades away entirely. You will look back at the person you used to be, the person who begged for scraps of validation, and you will barely recognize them. Because you have evolved, you have transformed. And in that transformation, your silence becomes your superpower now. We have the strategy, we have the rules, but strategy without execution is just a hallucination. You can understand the mechanics of strategic silence until you are blue in the face. But if you do not have the discipline to execute in the unbothered quiet of your daily life, you are just another dreamer. You are just another person with a vision and no follow-through. This is where the real work begins. This is where the identity transformation takes place. We are not just fixing your habits, we are rewriting your DNA. We are forging a new identity based on compounding habits, deep work, and an absolute, unshakable commitment to your own potential. Let us talk about the morning. The morning is the sacred ground where your new identity is forged. When the alarm goes off at 4 a.m., the world is asleep. The critics are asleep. The doubters are asleep. The people who misunderstand you are asleep. In this moment, you are entirely alone with your purpose. This is the time for the unbothered execution. Most people wake up and immediately reach for their phones. They immediately plug into the noise. They check the messages, they check the social media, they check the opinions of the world. They immediately start chasing. They immediately start reacting. They surrender their power before their feet even hit the floor. But not you. You see, you keep the phone in the other room. You sit in the silence. You embrace the quiet. You use this time for deep work. You use this time to focus entirely on yourself. You read, you plan, you visualize, you work on your craft. You do the things that move the needle, the things that compound over time. You work hard in the dark so that you can shine in the light. This is the discipline of the unbothered. It is the ability to do the work when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is validating you. It is the understanding that true consistency is not about motivation. It is about commitment. It is about doing it when you are tired. It is about doing it when you are sore. It is about doing it when the struggle feels insurmountable. You have to realize that your work ethic is a sacred sacrifice. You are sacrificing the comfort of the masses for the greatness of the few. You are sacrificing the temporary pleasure of being understood for the eternal power of being undeniable. You are sacrificing the need to explain for the privilege of executing. Not only that, but this unbothered execution creates a compounding effect that is almost magical. When you stop leaking your energy through over-explaining and chasing, that energy has to go somewhere. It goes into your work. It goes into your craft. It goes into your vision. And as you pour that concentrated, focused energy into your daily habits, the results begin to compound. Day by day, the gap between who you are and who you want to be closes. Week by week, your skills sharpen. Month by month, your confidence solidifies. Year by year, you become undeniable. You become a force that cannot be ignored. You do not have to explain your success because your success is standing right in front of them, staring them in the face. But here is the thing. This level of discipline requires a profound psychological anchor. It requires you to confront the ultimate reality. It requires you to look your own mortality in the eye. You are going to die. Let that sink in. You are going to die. The clock is ticking. Every second that passes is gone forever. You cannot get it back. You cannot buy more of it. You cannot explain your way into getting an extension. Time is the only truly non-renewable resource you have. So why, in the name of everything holy, are you spending it trying to convince people who do not matter? Why are you spending it chasing validation from people who will not be at your funeral? Why are you spending it explaining your worth to people who are committed to seeing you as less than you are? Think about your deathbed. Think about the final moments of your life. When you are looking back at the tapestry of your existence, what will matter? Will it matter that you won an argument on the internet? Will it matter that you successfully explained to your high school bully why they were wrong? Will it matter that you got the exact number of likes on your post? No. What will matter is whether you lived your purpose. What will matter is whether you had the courage to be brave. What will matter is whether you took risks, whether you fell forward, whether you got back up. What will matter is whether you stood your ground and earned it. What will matter is whether you had the faith to believe in your vision when the world told you it was impossible. Mortality is the ultimate filter. It strips away the trivial. It burns away the noise. It leaves only what is essential. And what is essential is your focus. What is essential is your execution. What is essential is your unbothered dedication to your own greatness. When you truly internalize your mortality, the need to explain vanishes. The need to chase evaporates. The need to beg for attention becomes laughable. You realize that you have a limited amount of time to change the world, to leave a mark, to fulfill your gratitude for the breath in your lungs. You do not have time for the petty dramas of other people's opinions. You do not have time to ring the bell and quit. You have work to do. So you get back to work. You embrace the struggle. You find the gratitude in the grind. You understand that every rep, every page, every hour of deep work is a defiance against death. It is a declaration that you are here, you are alive, and you are not going to waste a single second of it. You keep going. You never give up. You dream big, and you work hard to make it a reality. You take the hits, you absorb the blows, and you do not say a word. You just keep executing. You just keep moving. You let the silence carry the weight of your ambition. That's the difference between those who talk about what they are going to do and those who actually do it. The talkers are exhausted, they are drained, they are constantly explaining their plans, constantly chasing the feeling of accomplishment without doing the work. The doers are quiet, they are focused, they are unbothered. They are executing in the shadows, building the foundation, compounding the habits, and when the doers finally step into the light, they do not need to explain what they did. The work speaks for itself. The results echo through the halls of history. The legacy is undeniable. Remember this. Your unbothered execution is your ultimate rebellion. It is your defiance against a world that wants you distracted, divided, and desperate for approval. By focusing entirely on yourself, by executing with ruthless consistency, you are taking your power back. You are claiming your destiny. And as you walk this path of discipline, as you compound your habits and stare down your mortality, you will find a profound sense of peace. The noise of the world will fade into a distant hum. The doubts of others will become irrelevant static. You will be entirely alone with your purpose, entirely focused on your goal, entirely committed to your vision. And in that beautiful, unbreakable focus, your silence becomes your superpower. Listen, we have reached the end of the theory and we have reached the beginning of your reality. Everything we have discussed, every rule, every principle, every story of triumph over the noise, it all leads to this exact moment. This is the crucible. This is where the old version of you dies and the new version of you is born. You have seen the cost of chasing. You have felt the drain of explaining. You have watched your energy bleed out on the floor while you tried to justify your existence to people who were never going to understand you. You have paid that price for far too long. You have sacrificed your peace, your dignity, and your potential on the altar of other people's opinions. No more. Today, you draw a line in the sand. Today, you make a sacred commitment to yourself. You decide right here, right now, that you are done begging. You are done chasing. You are done explaining. You are taking your power back. You are stepping into the arena of your own life, not as a participant seeking approval, but as the architect demanding respect. You are going to focus on yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way. You are going to focus on your vision with a laser-like intensity. You are going to focus on your goal with an unbreakable commitment. You are going to focus on your purpose with a profound gratitude for the opportunity to even try. You are going to embrace the struggle. You are going to welcome the darkest moment, knowing that it is the forge where your finest hour is created. You are going to fall forward. You are going to get back up. You are going to take risks. You are going to be brave. You are going to stand your ground. You are going to earn it. You are going to claim it. You are going to work hard. You are going to dream big. You are going to fail forward. You are going to keep going. You are going to never give up. You are going to turn the impossible turned possible into your daily reality. You are going to change the world, not by shouting at it, but by outworking it. And when the doubts come, and they will come, you will not explain them away. You will outwork them. When the critics speak, and they will speak, you will not defend yourself. You will outproduce them. When the noise tries to pull you off your path, you will not argue with it. You will outlast it. You will let them talk. You will let them doubt. You will let them misunderstand. Because you know a secret that they will never comprehend. You know that while they are busy talking, you are busy building. While they are busy chasing, you are busy becoming. While they are busy explaining, you are busy executing. You understand that your life is a masterpiece in progress, and you do not need to explain the brushstrokes to people who do not know how to paint. You just keep painting. You just keep building. You just keep moving forward with that quiet, unshakable, unbothered discipline. Think about the person you are going to be a year from now, if you commit to this. Think about the person you are going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. When you look back at your life, you will not remember the arguments you won. You will not remember the validations you received. You will remember the quiet mornings. You will remember the deep work. You will remember the moments you chose yourself. You will remember the times you kept your mouth shut and let your actions scream. You will remember the power of your own silence. So let me tell you something one last time. The world is loud. It is chaotic. It is desperate for your attention. It wants you to react. It wants you to chase. It wants you to beg. It wants you to explain. Do not give it the satisfaction. Starve the noise. Feed your focus. Protect your energy like it is the most valuable asset on earth. Because it is. You have a vision to fulfill. You have a legacy to build. You have a destiny to claim. And you cannot do any of that if you are exhausted from trying to convince people who do not matter. Close your mouth, focus on yourself, and build your empire in the quiet.